Well, welcome everybody to this incredible panel. It's the Stevie Awards for Women in Business, and we have some extraordinary women on the panel today for you. We're going to be giving you some insight and some tips, but more importantly, some action steps, really understanding the journey from some award-winning entrepreneurs who've done amazing things, marking their journeys and their challenges, but also giving you the insight and the motivation and the inspiration to go and do the same yourself. And more importantly, when you do award-winning work, to make sure you tell people about it and you get out there and you market and promote your business and your expertise and what you're doing. So on the panel today, I'm just going to do a quick introduction and then let our panelists introduce themselves. We have the amazing Stacey Ashley. She's a high performance leadership and coaching expert. Sally Foley-Lewis, who's a middle management self-leadership expert. Amor McClang, who's the conveyor of Digital Filipinas and the co-founder of Giza McClang Communications, and the lovely Annie Wong, who's the vice president of the Asia Pacific APAC here and the Japan Q2C operations at IBM. So some incredible women on the panel. I'm just going to quickly go around and let each of us introduce ourselves. I'll start off and kick it off. What I want you to do, ladies, is tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and tell us why you entered the Stevie Awards. What was it that made you go and decide to become a Stevie Awards winner? So I'll kick off and let you know who I am. I'm Lauren Clement. I'm a personal branding specialist. I come from New Zealand, and I was told when I was a very little girl that I had word blindness and I'd never be able to read or write properly. And I sort of saw that as a red rag to a bull, and I decided I would teach them all a lesson and show them that I could. And I've become a best-selling author 8 times over, and I'm an international speaker, and I'm a multi-international award winner with the Stevies and many others. You might see a few of those hiding around behind me. And it's awesome to be here with you. The reason I entered the awards originally back in 2017 was my now business partner challenged me. She said to me, look, I know you've worked for award-winning advertising agencies for years, but have you actually gone and won yourself an award? To which I couldn't answer affirmative. I'd never won one for myself. I just thought they were all a big, show and no one really cared. She certainly taught me, because I went ahead and entered the Asia Pacific Stevie Awards back in 2017 and won a silver award for the neuro branding process that I have. And it shocked me a little bit because it felt really good. But more importantly, I got lots of judges' feedback saying, wow, you're doing amazing things. You're enabling small businesses to access things that normally that would only be from big advertising agencies, and you need to keep doing what you're doing. And that advice from those judges all those years ago really encouraged me to keep going and to build my business. And now Annette and I help people enter, win and leverage awards together. So it's a great story and a great journey. But it started off with me doubting whether I even was worth me even entering, whether I could even do it and what was the point. And now certainly we can show you exactly what the point of that is. So thank you for joining me. I'd like to now introduce the lovely Stacey. Please let us know a little bit about yourself, Stacey, and why you entered the Stevie Awards.
Thanks so much, Lauren. I guess my background is in leadership. I led my very first team on stage at about the age of 6, and my whole life has just been about leadership. Even when I didn't go looking for it, it came looking for me. And so my corporate career was really about transformation and leading significant change. And I always thought, I'm going to be the CEO. That was my big goal, until it wasn't anymore. And I realized I could do so much more to enable what I describe as the practice of leadership. I think the world needs more leaders, and we need to actually give people those skills, not just assume that when they get promoted into a leadership role, they get sprinkled by fairy dust and suddenly know what to do. And so for the last 15 years or so, I've been working with leaders to equip them with the core skills that will enable them to step into their leadership, to really go beyond that I'm an expert, therefore I'll use my expertise to support my leadership, and actually transition into leadership, which is a whole different set of skills on top of your expertise, that I believe creates the ability for leaders to be more, to actually become leaders, not just talk about it. My husband actually said the other day, you should write a book called Leadership. You can't just Google it. You have to actually do it. And so that's why I do what I do. I want to enable more people, give more people the skills that allow them to really flourish in their leadership and make a difference in the world. Everyone can make a difference. And so that's really why I do what I do. How did awards come into that? I guess a colleague of mine actually won 2 silver Stevies. And I was like, what is the Stevies? I've never heard of this. And so I found out more about it. And I just thought, what an amazing opportunity to just really see if you are making a difference, to really get some, I guess, some feedback as much as anything about the contribution you're making. You know, is it important, or how important is it? And I guess for me, you know, look, I like a little bit of acknowledgement like the next person. And so it was a really good way to just see if I'm making a difference. And also, I guess, to fire that up, you know, getting that feedback to go, yes, you're making a difference. Just really, for me, it's then about, oh, what will I do next? And how else can I help? And, you know, and to get that from a global perspective, I think, which also the Stevies offers, is an amazing thing to do. And from a perspective of then opening doors, gaining credibility, you know, so many people, other people say to me now that I have won a number of Stevies, is what is the Stevies? And to be able to explain that and the process, and they go, wow, yeah, we'd really like to talk to you more about what you do and how you can work with us. And so I think as a door opener, it's incredible. And as an opportunity to really assess yourself and the difference you're making, it's also an amazing opportunity. So let me stop there. There's so much more I could talk about, but we've only got a limited amount of time.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? The couple of things you said there, we sort of have this intrinsic ability to lead and to be leaders, but until it's harnessed and you get that feedback from somebody and you get some idea of the skills that you actually need to acquire, it's very similar to entering awards, isn't it? As you say, you sort of realize that the feedback that you get from entering those awards is actually almost more valuable than the award itself. So awesome, love it, great insight. And if you're listening to this panel and you're thinking, how do I lead better? How do I lead my people better? How do I lead my organization better? I'm sure Stacey will have more for you as the panel goes on. Thank you for that. Amor, I'm going to go to you next, just because you're next on my screen. If you could give us a bit of your background, where you're from and what you're doing and why it was that you decided to enter awards.
Lauren, thank you, and good day to everyone, and good evening, good morning, good day. I know we're broadcasting to different time zones at this time. I first joined the Stevies in 2010, and that was also when I first met Mr. Michael Gallagher, and that was in Dubai. And at that time, we were a motley crew of Philippine businesses who represented the Philippines, and we felt such an intense sense of pride being among some of the top business leaders in the world. And now, close to 11 years after 2021, I feel like we've come full circle. It is our honor to be able to bring the Women Futures Conference for the first time in Asia Pacific. And this is, of course, in partnership with the Stevie Awards, a long-term evergreen partner and champion of the Philippines, and that will be Michael. And this year, we had deliberately designed a theme to be around celebrating women in innovation, finance, and technology. And interestingly enough, specifically the past few years, the center of innovation, technology, and finance has really pivoted to Asia Pacific. And just to cite an example, if you think about digital banks, digital licenses, the United States is 10, Europe has 15, we in Asia have 40, and close to 10 of that are Filipinos. The Philippines has even executed ahead of, say, even the EU, an open finance guideline that we're all looking at executing and implementing to truly create inclusion at so many levels. Now, as the convener of Digital Pilipinas, which is intended to really put the Philippines at the front and center of this discourse, and Asia in general. There's never, in many interviews, I've said there's never been a better time to be a Filipino, to be Asian, and to be in technology, where it used to be a lot of the discourse comes from the West. The shift has really happened. We're number 3 in crypto uptake. 2 of the leading markets for crypto uptake in the world is actually ASEAN. It's not even Asian, it's ASEAN. It's Vietnam and the Philippines. And it is because of all this excitement that we want to be able to create a platform, maybe for this year, for women in innovation, technology, and finance, but for the succeeding years, when we plan to roll out an Asia Pacific conference in partnership with the Stevies, we want to be able to create a platform for women leaders in this region all the time. And as a final note, yes, my day job and what makes it all happen is being co-founder of Geyser Maclang Marketing Communications, which is the Philippine partner of Stevie's in the Philippines. And we are eternally grateful for the kind of opportunities and platforms. I call it platformification. The Stevies has been great at platformificating leaders, women leaders at this time everywhere. So all the best. Looking forward to the discussion, Lauren.
Awesome, Amor. I love it. The nicest thing that I've learned out of what you've told me already is that first initial meeting that you had in Dubai, surrounded by all those amazing business leaders. So often we, as women in business, I think we belittle ourselves a little bit in terms of what we're capable of achieving. And we end up in these situations thinking, wow, how did I get here? How did I get to be amongst these incredible people? And you just seem to have forged that path so well. And I agree with you that the shift around the world has been phenomenal, and the shift to the Asia Pacific region is extraordinary and very, very exciting. I can't wait to hear more from you, Amor, today. I'm going to now move to Sally Foley-Lewis. Sally is a fellow Australian. I'd love to hear, Sally, a little bit of your backstory, but also how you got involved with the Stevie Awards.
Thanks, Lauren. What a pleasure and a treasure to be here amongst such amazing women. So my story is a little bit similar to Stacey's, I guess. I have been in a CEO role and was very much championed to take up the role, to the point where my ego was just bigger than the room. I was rather young and rather green. That's probably not similar to Stacey. That's my story. But they did a number on me and I fell for it. And they tickled my ambition and my ego. So I ran headfirst into the CEO's role. And then when I got there, found it incredibly different to what my expectation was. It was very lonely, very isolating. And then, you know, like an onion, when you pull back the layers, you find out what's really going on. And as much as it was rather an interesting and some days painful, some days challenging, some days fun, when I look back at it now, it was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. And I'm very grateful for that. And then there's another big milestone in my my story, and that is living in the United Arab Emirates and working for a corporate training company there in Abu Dhabi, and that realization while I was in Abu Dhabi that in every particular role that I've been in, I have been in a service, nurturing, helping role, and that thread has been there since I've been a child, from Girl Guides and Brownies all the way through to what I am and who I am today. And it became abundantly clear that I wanted to make sure that my experience as a CEO doesn't get wasted, and that the lessons that I'd learned from actually walking in that role was going to be leveraged in the right way. And so I married that up with the education, training, learning and development work that I do. And when we returned to Australia, I knew that I had to hunt down all my middle managers that need some help. I'm very passionate about helping middle managers move or improve, and even remove if they need to be back doing their expertise because leadership and management isn't where they want to be. So I really, really value
the opportunity to be able to work with middle managers, because sometimes it is the squish, it is the hard part in the sandwich, but where they are seen and needing to be influencing up, even though there's that imposter syndrome and often that struggle to know how to take a seat at the table and to speak up, as well as they are the key influencer to the operational team, and knowing that they are the first port of call for every employee, and they are who the employee looks to. So that's why I do what I do now. And interestingly, then, having been back in Australia for a few years and seeing all these people and these wonderful mentors of mine show up on their Facebook feed or their LinkedIn feed with, look, I've won a Stevie. And I was similar to Steph, what's a Stevie? And why am I missing out? And that's when your business colleague, Lauren, also nailed me and said, right, okay, have you heard of these Stevies? And I said, no, tell me more. And with your agency's wonderful support, I put into the Stevies, I can't even remember what year it was now. It's probably in the background there, but a couple of years, and I've won a couple of awards. And I have to agree to, even when you get help to put in an award, I'm a little bit challenged on reading and writing as well. And so getting the help to get that out of you is so empowering. So many people are able to do it for themselves, and I think that's fantastic. But there's something that worked in me to have an interview process where someone was wise and clever enough to just ask the right questions, and I'm extroverted enough to just let it all out. And at the end of the process, when I was showing my application and I was proofing it, I'm like, who is this? And it's like, this is me. This is actually, yeah, I've done this. And I couldn't have cared less if I won, to be honest, right in that moment, because when I looked at the application, it was that affirmation of the hard work that I've put in. And, 10 years ago, even to say the affirmation of the hard work I put in would have been pretty tough to say. But right now, having gone through the process and really understanding and truly valuing my value, there's no money, there's nothing, for everything else, there's MasterCard. Isn't that the line? So, as a saying, so that is why, because I was convinced of the process rather than the outcome.
I love it. Awesome. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? We often are so busy in business with all these goals and things that we're doing, and we don't often stop to realize what we're achieving or take the time to look back and reflect on what's got us to where we are. So it's a great process. And all of us, I'm sure, would agree the Stevie Awards process is second to none. As far as we're concerned, what we've seen, the way that awards are run and managed in terms of helping people to really realize what they're achieving, which is so cool. Annie, I'm going to hand over to you now and get you to give us a little bit of a background as to where you've come from and what you do, and also some insight as to why you got involved in awards and when you still first entered the Stevies or got involved with the Stevie Awards.
Sure, Lauren, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone. It is really my honor to participate in this panel discussion. And just to tell you a little secret of myself, when I started work in my very early years, I actually didn't want to go into a leadership or management position, because during those years, I was very keen to acquire knowledge and deep technical skill, because I thought that I could only be confident when I have the wealth of knowledge to support me when I do my job. But interestingly, I realized that I have only 24 hours a day, right? If I work 24 hours, that's all I can contribute. So how can I contribute more to the company? It is actually through drawing results from others instead of just equipping myself. I thought it would be good that if I could help others to grow in their career and equip them with the necessary knowledge, and I will be able to draw their collective knowledge and deliver the business results. So this is why I'm now the vice president of IBM handling end-to-end quote-to-cash process for Asia Pacific, Greater China Group, as well as Japan region. Now, I am actually enjoying my role as the leader. I find that in the process of leading others, we learn from one another. We are never perfect. You know, you can learn from anyone, whether somebody new in the business or somebody who are very experienced in the business. You can learn equally much. And a little bit of my job and background as the Vice President of AP, GCG, and Japan, we call it AP, GCG, we call it in short APAC, right? Now, my main job focus is really to inspire, to motivate, and to lead the entire team. They are from all different countries. They speak different language sometimes. And I like to equip them to be the valued internal partner through seamless support and partnership for client success. So client success is something very key. You know, we really want to drive this end-to-end seamless client experience, and also innovating deeply and broadly, engaging responsibly, and also building organization competence. And that is marketplace aligned. It's not just staying in the silo. And also achieve industrial eminence year on year by winning awards. And Stevie Award is absolutely one of the main ones. Now, IBM is a very active participant of Stevie Awards year after year, not only from my colleagues in the Asia Pacific region, as well as the Europe and Americas. And every year we continue to win several awards in the different categories. So on your question, why did I enter into the Stevie Awards? I will say this is really motivated by the drive for progress and improvement, and also for continual transformation. And through all this, you know, though there are lots of platforms internally within IBM itself, you know, we run several platforms to recognize people in what they do best. But it is also important to actually be pitting oneself in external platforms, because we want to know what the other industry players are doing. And certainly Stevie Award is a reputable organization for knowing and building one's leveling. Now, there are so many categories that we can participate in. In fact, you know, we participate in almost every category. For example, the innovative achievement in customer satisfaction, innovation achievement, that is our favorite category, because we do believe in innovation. Without innovation, a lot of things will be standstill, right? We cannot, you know, drive speed to market. We cannot drive creative and innovative solution. So both individually and for the business, achieving industry recognition through winning prestigious awards like Stevie Awards is really an acknowledgement of our contributions in this era of digitalization, sorry about that, and a showcase of our internal capability, and also the commitment of our people to help our clients and also our partners to be successful in this new era. And I feel that this validates what we do well and need to keep doing. That is important. And that is to keep on innovating. So in short, winning really brings upon acknowledgement of one's strength, and also it motivates me to set new goals and new progress, not only for myself, for my people, for IBM, and also for our clients.
I love it, Annie. Annie, that's so extraordinary. I love the insight. The thing I picked up mostly was the fact that when you said there's no such thing as perfect, there is always improvement, isn't there? There's always another goal. There's always things you can be doing to innovate and to change and to challenge yourselves. I love that point. And it's something we all need to be reminded of, that, you know, yes, you've won an award, that's fantastic, but what's the next thing? What's the next thing we can do to leverage and to lead and to help others through that? And that leads us beautifully into my next question for everybody. The first real question of the panel is, what has winning an award done for you or for your business? And I'm going to start off with Stacey, because it's where we started before. Stacey, what has award winning done for you and for your business?
Gosh, so many things, I think, Lauren. I think at a personal level, I would say, you know, it's a nice confidence booster. It is a validation of what you do, certainly for me, and to know that it's being judged and being judged worthy, I think, is incredible, because it really bolsters your belief to go, you know, I can keep making a difference. I can do even bigger things. I mentioned earlier that I think there's a credibility aspect that it contributes as well. And so I think that that's really powerful, to be able to have that in your marketing material, in the information. It really just adds it's another level, that you not only have you been have you won an award, but you've actually put yourself out there. You've been, there's enough substance and and value that it's been put out there, and you've had the confidence to do that. That, I think, also lets the people that you work with, prospective clients, all of those people actually have confidence. Like, they know you're confident enough to put yourself out there, so therefore they have confidence in you, as well as, oh, by the way, you did happen to win an award. And then I think it's a great conversation starter. As I said earlier, it really is amazing. There are a lot of people that do know about the Stevie Awards in particular, but there are a lot of people who don't. And so as a conversation starter and a way of actually, creating connection and interest and, just spurring that conversation on, it's just magical.
Yeah, brilliant. I love it. There is something about it, isn't it, that people just want to know more. It says, Sally said, hang on, tell me more. I need to know about that. It's a really great way of doing it. And I love the fact that, as you're talking about it, it is that credibility for yourself and for your business and for your brand. Now, I'm going to ask the same question of Amor, but I've got a really interesting question from an Asia Pacific point of view. You may have already picked up a little bit, Amor, and Annie as well. Here in Australia and in New Zealand, I know we have this, what we call the tall poppy syndrome, that imposter syndrome, where if you stick your head up a little bit higher than the other people, there's a risk that people are going to tear you down. And we've got a big fear of that in Australia and New Zealand. I was wondering whether it's the same in Asia, or is it not so much of a problem, Amor? What has winning awards done for you and for your business? And do you have that same issue with people not having confidence and needing to find that somehow?
I think, Lauren, to your point about the tall poppy syndrome, or not wanting to stick out, I think that's even probably more pronounced for Asians than it is in the West. So we probably don't call it that way, but it certainly is an unspoken rule not to try to stand out, right? So I suppose we're unremarkably un-Asian in that regard. But I suppose how I would relate that to our journey with the Stevies is I've always been very internally driven. Not needing any kind of external push. But what this allows me to do is to benchmark my work, and also what's happening not just within our corporation, but vis-a-vis what's happening in the rest of the world. So it's always a good barometer to see what are the relevant conversations and what are the important narratives happening in the rest of the world. So that, for me, first and foremost, is the importance of joining awards in general. It's a good way to really push your boundaries, and to make sure that you continue to remain not just competitive but innovative. Right? I think the innovation quotient amongst women leaders needs to really be even more pronounced, not just because of the gender gap. I'm not going to go there, because I think we're nearing a time when that gender gap will soon be irrelevant. Yay, right? And we won't be needing to create conferences just for women. We certainly don't have conferences just for men, right? But I think the next level of challenge is to how to embed a strong sense of innovation quotient amongst women leaders, so that we are the ones who are innovating. So it's not just about being a leader, but rather leading and innovating and making the change that we want to see. So thank you.
I love it. That is so empowering, leading the change we want to see. What a great message. And I agree with you, Amor. When we can get to the point where it's not about different genders or ages or races, man, have we got some real power when we can innovate and work together. That's awesome. Sally, what about you? What has winning awards done for your business?
I just have to say ditto to what's been said. I think that you absolutely get to benchmark, because if you're applying year on year, then you can see what you've done previously and push yourself. And so you're challenging yourself, that inner drive and motivator to make sure that you don't stand still, because as we know, if we stand still, we're actually going backwards. And making sure that what we're putting out to the market is as Amor says, it's relevant, but also it's innovative, but I think also relevant. It's about making sure that you're listening to your market and being able to demonstrate that you've delivered something that's of relevance and importance to them. I see any award that I win as being, my name might be on the award, but it's my clients who help me get it. And I feel very humbled by the fact that I get to work with some amazing people. They let me in their door to help me help them. And if it wasn't for them, then I wouldn't be able to put in applications and I wouldn't be winning awards. Can I be like really honest as well? And I think this is something that we don't talk about, but I'd like to be the cheeky one that says it, if that's okay. You can put your prices up. You can value yourself more, and when you walk into the room, you get to negotiate at a different level, and this is what an award can help you leverage. There are certain things in your career that help you to leverage yourself, and some of them are job titles and some of them are qualifications. I know that when I was living in the Middle East, the fact that I had an MBA absolutely meant something. In my head, it meant a lot of debt, but to a market, it meant I had achieved a certain level of education. Being an author is a fantastic leverager, but winning an award means that you've been judged by someone else as having achieved a certain amount of outcomes. And I think that helps you to do your business development, helps you to understand that what you're putting out to the market needs to be valued in a more effective, maybe in a more relevant, in a higher price bracket, because let's face it, like Amor was saying, we've already got the gender gap and we've got a pay gap. And I think we also need to remember that we could be putting our prices up, as in valuing ourselves more. I don't know if that's something we're allowed to talk about, but I think we need to be talking about it.
Sally. Absolutely. I mean, we're not all in business just to make money, but man, does it help?
But I totally agree. I'm not in business to make money, but I also need to know, I need my market to know that I bring quality. Yeah, and that's absolutely one of the ways they value it, Yeah.
And that what I call branding by association. If you can associate your brand with awards that the likes of IBM are winning, and congratulations, Annie, on winning another grand award this year with IBM in the Women in Business Awards. We just pipped you at the post for the #1 grand this year as well. But it's just an awesome thing to be able to align yourself with an awards platform like the Stevies, with these other businesses, with well-known worldwide brands like IBM and DHL and so on. And all of a sudden that value of your brand just improves as well. So Annie, share with us, what has being involved with the Stevies and winning Stevie Awards done for you and for your business?
Okay, now I love the sharing so far, really love it and learn a lot from there too. So to us, really, we love to celebrate success. And winning award is one of the successes that we often celebrate because it is an external recognition of worth and quality, and it also validates what we do well and what we continue wanting to do well. And it is a demonstration of your confidence and your achievement in the things that you do. Let me share a little bit more. In the process of submitting our entries to the award, we have fun because it is like an engagement program. We gather the people together to say, hey, tell us what you do best. Don't be shy, showcase. And a lot of people, they may think that, it has to be something big and grand, but I often say to them that it is not necessary to be something big and grand. If you have a small innovative idea, you showcase it, not only the results of that, but also the process of achieving that, like how you collaborate with your colleagues, how you collaborate internally with the stakeholders, and also how you collaborate with our clients. So that is very important. And Stevie Awards does recognize the process of achieving the results, not just result alone. So it is important for us to win an award, and it keeps us motivated. These proud moments will help us to continue to focus on innovation. So it brings really, truly acknowledgement of our strength and also motivation to set new goals and also to set new heights.
I love that. That is so awesome. Thank you, Annie. I agree with you 100%. We don't party enough. We don't pat ourselves on the back enough. It's about time we did a bit of a happy dance and went, wow, this is amazing what we're achieving. And it just feels good, doesn't it, ladies, to be able to accomplish these things and share our successes with ourselves and our colleagues and our team and those around us, which is so awesome. Now, we're not far from wrapping up. We're going to finish up with one question, which I'll get my panelists to prepare for. We'll go in the same order. We're looking for a number one tip for women in a leadership position, women leaders around the world who are tuning in to the Women Future Conference. What would you give them as your number one piece of advice as a leader in today's world, going forwards in the Asia Pacific region especially? What is your number one tip for them? But just to remind people, today we've heard some incredible lessons, and I hope you've been taking notes. Annie, you mentioned right from the start, it doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be some huge achievement. It can be those little steps, those innovations that you have that have a big impact when you add it all up. Amor talked before at the very start about this being a platform. The Stevie Awards are a platform for you to grow your business and to grow your awareness and to become aligned with a brand that is really well respected around the world, and a way of really growing your credentials and so on. And Stacey said that as well, the valuable credentials that you have and the feedback from judges, and using that to really take yourself forward. And Sally used that word that we all love to hear, leverage. Leverage is a massive part of business, and we talk about perception, we talk about aligning yourself with some great brands. It's great for your PR, for your publicity, to grow your brand awareness, but more importantly, it's that leverage that you're not just achieving great things, but you're doing something with it. You're getting out there and you're sharing that with the world. So we are going to start with Stacey. What is your number one tip, Stacey, to wrap up our panel today for the leaders in business who are watching this? What would be your number one tip for them, an action step that they can go ahead with?
I think this is kind of comes to one of my underlying philosophies, and I do live in the world of change and transformation, so it might come from there, is always be asking yourself the question, what's next?
Nice. That is what's next. Yeah, absolutely. It's so important, isn't it? We've been talking about reflecting on your achievements and so on, but yes, you've got to have that next goal in mind. So awesome. Great tip. Amor, what is your number one tip for women in leadership today?
It's not so clear cut, but for me, I think it is to lead a movement, right? There are so many pain points that we need to help address and resolve. There's certainly no lack of problems to solve, but more than just leading, I think what's more important and what really leverages our strength as women is the ability to lead movements, galvanize other people to work together. There's no such thing in a tech era as competition. It's all about co-opetition. working closely together. And, you know, you've heard me say it a lot of times, the idea of platformificating things, right? So, you know, I'm not going to talk about how Facebook and all the successful business models are platform that we've sold that shirt, right? But it's really more of you can be your own movement, you can be your own platform. And I think more than just to lead a movement and to bring people, other leaders to work together, I think is my biggest challenge to most women leaders out there.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree with you, Amor. And it just, when you've got that purpose and that direction in your leadership, that you decide it's more than just change. I'm leading people to a better place, and we're changing and impacting the world around us, making a movement, absolutely, and leading and being part of that leadership goal. So that's just fantastic. I love that feedback. Sally, your number one tip for women leaders in business today?
Thank you. I think one of the things that we could all do is start with self, and really never miss an opportunity to be improving yourself, whether it's increasing your self-awareness, your emotional intelligence, your resilience, understanding and amplifying what your confidence, your influence and courage could be, you know. And it doesn't have to be millions and millions of dollars in courses all over the world. It could simply be updating your CV, rereading your Stevie application to remind yourself of what you've achieved, pulling together all the thank you notes you may and emails you may have received, and having a brag book that really amplifies that sense of knowing that you do good work. So I think start with self, because that will put you in good stead to lead the cause that Amor is talking about.
Absolutely. And I think I agree with you 100%. If you have, it's that old saying, isn't it? You can't pour from an empty cup. So as a leader, you need to constantly be looking after yourself, your good mental health, your opinion of yourself and others around you, and to really set that tone as a leader. So starting with self, that's a very, very good tip. Thank you, Sally.
Yes,
I'll
add to that. I just want to add to that, you know, you can't do the middle and the end if you don't have the beginning right. So yeah.
Absolutely. You've got to start with those goals in mind for sure. Annie, your number one tip for the women in business leaders who are watching this panel?
Okay, it is don't be afraid to dream big and think big. This has always been my life's learning journey. If you look at my profile in IBM, I actually started off as an accountant. And throughout the years, I have moved from accounting to planning and to leading a manufacturing facility in Singapore. And also today, running an end-to-end operations for AP, GCG, and Japan. So be bold to step out of the comfort zone and tell yourself the sky is the limit. Do not be afraid of setbacks, because every setback gives you an opportunity for improvement, and continue to build and maintain a track record of success. That's my encouragement to all. Be bold, step out of your comfort zone. That's key.
And the sky is the limit, and getting outside your comfort zone. Those are great messages to finish with. And absolutely, I think today, one of the big things that everyone who's been watching this panel has probably learned, that it's not about just playing small and thinking that I might do these things. It's actually setting those big goals, believing in yourself, starting a movement. I love that, Amor. And really, as Stacey and Sally and Annie have also said as well, pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, you know, putting some big goals out there and deciding that you can achieve these things and create some amazing impact. So today on our amazing panel for women in leadership and business, some incredible Stevie Award winners and people involved with the Stevie Awards. We've had the lovely Stacey Ashley, who's a high performance leadership and coaching expert, Sally Foley-Lewis, who's a middle management self-leadership expert, Amor McClang, who's the conveyor of the Digital Filipinas and co-founder of Gazer McClang Marketing Communications, and the lovely Annie Wong, very busy woman, Vice President of APAC and Japan Q2C operations at IBM. It's been an absolute pleasure having all of you here on the call today and on the panel. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation, and more importantly, I hope we've all inspired you to go for awards, to leverage them, and more importantly, to make it the sky your limit. Absolutely shoot for the moon and go for it, because we all deserve to be well known, well paid, and wanted. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us.